Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Salesforce Ben LinkedIn Live. So, my name is Zaina Dar, and I'm the events content producer at Salesforce Ben. And I'm thrilled to be your host for today's event, the ultimate guide to scalability products, so Scale Center, Apex Guru, and more. So, while we wait for everyone to join, let us know where you're logging in from today. We always love to see what a global audience we have attending. So, what exactly are scalability products? Well, scalability products are tools and solutions designed to ensure that your systems can handle increased load and growth without compromising performance or availability. And why are they important? Well, simply put, they help you to avoid availability and performance issues in production. So I'm really excited to introduce you to Karishma Lalwani, who is head of product at Salesforce, and she's going to be talking to us today about why scalability products are must-have to ensure your implementation is healthy and ready to scale. Karishma, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Zaina. Good morning, good evening, everybody from wherever you're joining. My name is Karishma Lalwani. I have been with Salesforce for over 11 years, and my journey has been interesting because I started as a developer, moved on to being an architect. I was working on some of our largest customers implementing Salesforce solutions. And then 6 years ago, uh, I moved to product to fill the gap of what I personally experienced as an architect when I was working with our customers. And this is a full circle because whatever I'm going to talk about today is actually everything that I saw up close while I was in customer facing roles during the first half of my career. I lead a team for scalability products. We are part of the bigger platform, and everything that you will see today has been launched in the last year. So all these are very new products. All three of them are generally available, and I'll be doing a mix of both presentation as well as demo to show you deep dive into these products. So whether you're an admin, developer, architect, IT leader, QA, there's something today in it for you. So I would say stay through the presentation, and then we'll take the questions towards the end.
Fab, thank you. Okay, cool. So before we get started, just a few house rules. So as this is a webinar, all lines are muted, but don't worry, we'll be having a Q&A for you to ask Karishma any burning questions you may have. So feel free to submit the questions in the comments throughout the webinar. The webinar will also be recorded and will be available on our Salesforce Ben LinkedIn and YouTube channel, just in case you need to drop off or would like to share it with your colleagues. Great. Well, I'll hand it over to you to take us through the presentation, and I'll see you at the end for the Q&A.
Thanks, Zaina. All right. So let me start talking about why we are here. So scalability products. So I talked a little bit about who I am. I won't touch upon that again, but let's dive into the agenda. So I'm going to talk about the challenges that our customers face today when it comes to really building scalable implementations, and a little bit about our team's vision and how these products were born. And then we will do a dance between some slides and then demo for each product. So I have three products to cover. I'm going to do a similar thing for both, where I'll talk through what they are, do a demo, and then move to the second product. And then at the end, I have a roadmap as well for all these three products. Forward-looking statement, because I am going to talk about some features in the next two releases, so please make your purchase decisions accordingly. So what is the gap? So we all know that Salesforce has been growing and our customers are getting more and more complex, as well as they're building mission critical apps, whether it's a 24 by 7 call center, whether it's an experience cloud, B2C website, any customer that's coming and building Salesforce, it's usually to do with the front end or the first layer of interaction with their own end customers. Hence, the need to be more available, more reliable. And the gap that we see is a lot of these customers, once they're done implementing and are live, are dealing with performance issues only in production. Why is that? The reason for that is today we have very limited tooling, and that too, it's very fragmented. You have some things to track lightning, you have some things to track how your database is doing, but there's nothing available that gives you that single pane of glass to tell you what exactly is happening in your implementation and how scalable it is for 10 users or a million users. And that's why there's a very low confidence when it comes to scalability or even understanding if whatever you have built, will it scale or not. And why is that? That's again because we have very limited visibility that we provide today to you to understand how to even measure your performance and scale. If I look at the current state of customer scale journey, let's start with the typical plan phase. We have customers who do not understand how to even define the scale requirements. These are non functional requirements. There need to be a better guides, better design patterns available for us to share with you to tell you how do you go about even talking about scale requirements. At the same time, if you're a developer using Code Builder or any IDE, there is nothing today that at the minute you're writing code can tell you with certainty that this will work for a million executions. When it comes to test, we all know we do multiple types of testing, whether it's small single user testing, integrated testing, end to end large volume testing. But there is no ability today to do production grade testing. And by that, I mean some kind of load or absolute high scale tests for you to understand where is that ceiling, where will you hit that limit. Now, when we go to the release phase, your application is live. There are very limited logs to understand. Should you encounter an issue, if you see a page that's running slow, if someone is complaining that a report is not loading, how do you really understand what's going on behind the scene? And what this leads to is all critical issues. 47% of cases that were logged with Salesforce were all due to performance and scale, and then takes a lot of investment both from the customer and us to make sure that we are understanding what the problem is, fixing it, and then getting you to the path of green. We want to be able to shift left here. We want to be able to give you the needed telemetry early on so that you don't have to go through this cycle where you're losing revenue in production because a page is slow performing. Who are the personas that will use our products? I said this in the beginning, no matter who you are, there is something you'll take away from today's presentation to do your job better, to be more productive, to understand truly whether whatever you're implementing is going to work for a million or 10 million users. Developers typically care about scalable code. Architects are the ones that look at end to end in terms of what is happening from an overall architecture standpoint. What are patterns? How are they impacted when it comes to execution of the overall application? Performance engineer, this is a new persona. I don't think we talk a lot about this, but really, folks who are in QA, big QA teams, and are trying to test, they need the tools, they need the right environment, they need the right scripts to truly create an impactful test to understand what are the bottlenecks or what are the gaps. And then admins obviously are maintaining everything, whether it's pre production, post production. You are the one that is looking at the org and understanding how the health of the org is. Our vision with scalability products is to validate your implementation by giving you the infrastructure, the observability metrics, as well as insights at each phase of the life cycle that you saw in the first slide. How do these fit in? You all must have seen the ALM wheel. We are starting with the test phase. This is the phase where we see tons of gap in terms of tooling and metrics. Scalability products fit right here. And the environment that you most likely use for scale testing or any kind of large testing is a full copy sandbox. So that is where you will see the value of these products to begin with. Not to say that these products can't be used in production, they all are available. And I'll talk about how you can access that through the release and observe cycle. So once you deploy it, you can still continue to use these products to validate what's in production. But we really want you to start at the beginning of the test phase, even before you deploy into production. There are three products that we launched. I'm going to go through in this order itself in the presentation. The first one that I'm going to talk about is Scale Test. Scale Test is a full copy sandbox add on. And what we are doing here is essentially providing you additional infrastructure to help you test at that production peak volume. This product is a paid product, it's an add on to a sandbox. The only prerequisite is that you, as a customer, have an existing full copy sandbox or you need one for this ability or this feature to be turned on. Scale Center is our application performance management product. I talked about having the single pane of glass where you can see all your metrics and insights in one place. This is what Scale Center does. As soon as you run a test or your application is already in production, admins, developers, architects can go to Scale Center and setup and start looking at what is happening behind the scene when it comes to performance of the application. This is included if you have an unlimited edition with Salesforce. This product is already available in your setup menu. If you have a signature success plan from Salesforce, this product is also available to you. The third product is Apex Guru. This is a true developer product. Here, we are providing you insights on the code that you have written with the goal of improving code quality. In terms of availability, the model is the same if you have unlimited edition or you have a signature support success plan. You do have these two activated in your orgs already. Let's go deeper into Scale Test, the first product. Scale Test is available globally to all our customers on Hyperforce Sandbox. Even if your production is not on Hyperforce yet, as long as you have one sandbox on Hyperforce, you are able to leverage Scale Test. Scale Test essentially is turbocharging your existing full copy sandbox. We all know that full copy sandbox brings in the data from production, which is large volume data. But what Scale Test is doing is giving you the ability to do large transactions when it comes to test. That's the key distinction. One is the volume part, and one is the ability to test at a higher request per second. Request per second is the term that we commonly use when it comes to our testing tools like load runners, JMeters, is how many requests per second or how many transactions per second are you simulating to be able to validate your implementation. Scale Test also gives you insights from production to help you better create your test plans so that you're able to cover the most critical paths in your application. Along with the test planning, there is a booking feature that I will walk through. And then finally, once you implement or you have done with your test, we have deep dive analysis and recommendations. We've had over 100 pilot customers in the last 2 years who've successfully availed scale tests and have seen tremendous results, whether it's decreasing average page time, improving the volume or the number of transactions they are able to do, match to 1x or 2x of their production transactions early on so that they can understand how the implementation performs on a peak period, whether it's a retail customer who's prepping for Black Friday, whether it's a tax season customer that is prepping for once a year tax, or a healthcare customer who cares about open enrollments. There's something in it for everybody who's looking at any significant business peak coming up, or even net new large scale rollouts. Some customers start with pilots of 100 or 200, but then want to bring in more and more customers onto the platform, this is how you validate whether you will be able to meet your business growth in the time period that you're expected. So, what do we do here? If we take a full copy sandbox, when you turn on the scale test add on, we are actually ramping up our application and database services to production grade. Whenever you conduct the scale test, you will take advantage of this full scale production org and be able to generate at that 2x or 3x of that scale. What does it do? It helps in three ways. One, very quickly, you will be able to see the breaking points, whether it's in code, whether it's in your config, whether it's any limits. Second, overall, from an application standpoint, you will be able to see what kind of errors are you running into that are inhibiting you reaching that scale. And third, overall, it will increase the confidence that whatever you've built, even from a product standpoint, is the right solution. We've had some customers who've also been able to validate their backend systems to make sure the backend is scaling as well as Salesforce. So let's get into a quick demo. Once you purchase Scale Test, you will start seeing the Scale Test leaf under Setup. In fact, all of the scalability products are available under Setup if you search for Scale. The first thing that you will do as part of Scale Test is go to Test Plan Creation. Test Plan Creation will give you insights from your production peaks. For this org experiences peak every day between 3 and 4. This is the telemetry that we bring down from production org if you currently have something in production already. Let's see what these results look like. When I hit the View Results button, I'm getting telemetry from my production to tell me which are the most used and slowest pages. I'm also getting information around average EPT, P90 of EPT, page views. I get which are the most used Lightning components, REST APIs, SOAP APIs. What about the server side? Well, here I can see how many triggers were being executed, platform events. If I dive deeper, I also see which trigger, what's the count, and what's the average execution time. Similarly, for platform events, I can quickly see which topics are being subscribed, what's the count for those. What does this do? This helps a tester plan the test cases and scripts accordingly because now I know which ones are the slowest and most used, and I can actually make sure that in my test plan, I do add these and I'm validating these parts as part of my flow. What happens next? Let's say you're ready to conduct that high scale testing. At that time, you come to the test scheduler view. This is a simple calendaring view where you can request a new booking. A booking is when you will let Salesforce know that these are the dates that I'm going to conduct scale test. You can select the days that you would like to conduct the scale test and just hit submit. What this does is it notifies us in the backend that the services need to scale up during that day of when you have booked the time slot. We will automatically upgrade the environment to match production grade during this test day. Once you're done with your booking, we will bring back the environment down to the full copy sandbox size that it was earlier. Once you have finished your test, you can come to the test execution page. This is where we have a feature to compare the test. We all know that there is not one test that we ever run. We run a baseline and then we'll do a couple of reruns. Here you can compare up to 3 tests that you ran in your performance or scale testing phase. If I go back to the test plan creation, and let's say if I take some of these dates that showed up here, I can enter those time frames and then do a comparison. May 7th, 14, 21, if I come here, May 7th, and let's say I do May 21, start time 3 p.m. for both. Let's hit submit. This is where I will start getting top line metrics in terms of total requests, average response times, Apex times, database app, and I also get information around the errors. This tells me between the two tests, what are the high level metrics? Where am I seeing more errors? And then I'll also show you how to further investigate what the problem spaces are. So this is the test comparison feature for scale test. Let's go back to the deck. Second product. So let's switch gears and go to Scale Center. You saw what Scale Test is. Now, Scale Center is the one that is the single pane of glass that provides you all metrics. One of the most powerful things about Scale Center is you're getting access to real time observability directly in your org. And what I mean by that is, let's say if you just concluded a scale test, or if you have an app in production, you are able to see metrics from as recent as 10 minutes ago into this org itself. We'll give you key metrics around errors, whether it's logins, rolloffs. We'll let you investigate or double click on those errors to be able to take action. And we'll also tell you what is the recommended action, all with the goal of improving the scalability of your org. Let's go to Scale Center and see what it looks like. This is where Scale Center shows up. The very first thing that you would do is go to this org performance page. Let's say if we go to May 21st, where we finished our scale test. Let's say if we pick the same time and hit submit. Now you will start seeing some top line metrics of that test. You'll see how many logins, how many Apex errors, rollock errors, callout errors. The first chart that you see here is the actual error count. These are defined in different colors. If you look at this, there is a spike on concurrency at this time. Very quickly, the next step would be for me to hover over this spike and start a concurrent Apex analysis. You can give the report a name. This was May 21 concurrent Apex error report so that you know which period are you concerned about. And this will start collecting more information in the background. You'll see this pop up to say, see the performance analysis tab to check progress. If you go to this tab, this is where the report has started generating. We requested it. It takes a few minutes to come back, and it will start showing up in this view. Let's go back to this screen and see what else do we see in the org performance page. You'll see a chart, similar chart for all different kinds of errors, whether it's Apex, UI, connection pool, rollup timeouts. You also see charts around average request time. This tells you what type of transactions were running hot at that time. If you look at these are the different log record types. The red one is report. So we know there is something in report that's running pretty hot. The request volume is another view, which helps you identify when is a peak traffic in your org. If you take a 24-hour period view, you will actually be able to tell what part of your day is a slow day, and that's how customers determine when to do deployments, for example. Again, this view will tell you types of reports, what is running, whether it's REST API calls, SOAP API calls, all with the intention for you to deep dive further into what could be happening behind the scene. Next comes the CPU chart. This is the first time we are actually exposing app and database CPU time from Salesforce. Here, if you see a spike, again, you can just hover over the spike and run the appropriate analysis, whether it's a database spike or Apex, which contributes to the app CPU time. Next is the login chart. We give you successful and failed logins, call out chart, and call out errors, whether it's any kind of errors that happened in your endpoint. Here as well, if you want to understand what kind of endpoints were being called, you can simply click on any time that you're interested in, and we do have an integration performance investigation type for you to dive deeper. So let's go to the performance analysis page, the second feature. This is the deep dive report that we requested. If you remember, I had this concurrent Apex that I requested. It's already available. What does this look like? If I go here, I can see that this peak period was caused because of this class. And there were 34 executions over 5 seconds for this time frame. What is the suggested action? It tells you you need to get average runtime down to avoid concurrency errors. We also give you which are the other top Apex concurrency contributors. So we give you the other classes that were long running in terms of entry point. You can sort these in terms of count or database time or average runtime. That way you can triage it. Very quickly, you are able to understand what the problem is and what you need to fix. Now, this was just the concurrent Apex error. I'm going to show you another report that has all types of analysis and to give you an insight into what that looks like. That type of report is the consolidated report. When you run a consolidated report, you'll see all of these tabs. Apex concurrency, we already saw what it shows. Let's go to Apex summary. Here you see most used classes. Again, these are sortable. You can sort by average runtime, count. You can sort on the slowest classes, which is the slowest class that you need to fix. Next, database performance. This is the investigation that will tell you the exact report that was long running, or if there is a SOQL, it will give you the exact SOQL that you need to fix. This is a very powerful report and one of our top 3 performing reports where customers are able to take action on the heavy SOQLs using this report. We also give you, again, similar entry points, database time, DML statements, a lot of telemetry around what is happening at the database at that time. Failed logins, flow performance. We give you all the flow types, entry points, again, the count, execution time for you to be able to optimize the slowest ones. If there were any governor limits hit, it will call out here. Integration will tell you anything that is running hot from a API or a callout standpoint. Right now, these URLs are hidden, but we are coming up with a feature that will unlock these as well. List views and reports. Again, any list views running over 5 seconds or reports, you will start seeing the report ID here, the time, so that you can accurately optimize. And then finally, row lock. If you hit a row lock, we are telling you what objects are causing the locks, what users are causing the locks, which are the lock records, and then again, entry point. So this was everything from a performance analysis phase standpoint. If the last feature in Scale Center is you're able to again do a time comparison between 2 releases. Now, this can be used both in production and full copy sandbox. And for unlimited edition customers, Scale Center is included for them. So you don't have to pay anything extra to access Scale Center. Let's say if I pick a date to do time comparisons between May 7th, May 21, and I hit submit. What you'll see here is side by side charts to tell you what happened between these two. If there was a new deployment, did it lead to more errors or did it help in reducing any errors? And similarly, you'll see side by side charts for that workload to see what errors did we introduce as part of a new release. So this is everything that Scale Center provides. We have a long roadmap. We have just barely started. In I'll share the roadmap, but we are going to tackle a lot of other platform areas like platform cache, more details around the report in terms of whether they're using the right filters, list views, same thing. We are also looking at deeper dive into flows and a lot more that is coming up for Scale Center. Let's go back to the presentation. I wanted to share a few customer testimonials. We've been generally available for 9 months, and this is everything our customers have to say. Um, they've found the features to be tremendously valuable. There's a lot of breadth of features that we've already covered. There is another customer who said they're finding it very useful to identify issues. They're also using it any different view to tell them what the traffic pattern looks like. And then again, there are customers who understand that this is a preventive way to measure your performance rather than having to create a case or rely on someone from Salesforce to tell you where the problem is. These are just some real customer quotes that I wanted to share. Let's go to the third product, Apex Guru. Now, this is a developer product, like I mentioned. What we do here, I want to talk about how this works first before tell you what it is. Apex Guru is our first Gen AI product that was launched from our team under Scalability. And what we are doing is we are using our homegrown code gen model built by our research team. And we are running through the Apex code to detect patterns and anti patterns within that model. And using CodeGen, we are also generating recommended code for the customer to replace it with. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute in a demo. But that's not it. It's not just anti patterns. Because we are able to gather runtime information from your full copy sandbox or your production, we can also understand where are the hotspots. We have a hotspot detector built in, which is checking flight recording at the Java level to see which ones are running hot. So it's not just that there is an anti pattern, but also the anti pattern is contributing to X% of app CPU spike. And we combine these two and we come up with a list of recommendations in order of impact. So we'll tell you exactly which ones are critical for you to fix. And along with that, we give you the recommended code so that you don't have to worry about thinking, how do you need to fix it? Apex Guru is actually available right within Scale Center itself. In addition to code, we are also giving you SOQL and DML analysis. So we are able to detect anti patterns in a SOQL. We are also telling you which are the expensive methods. And then we are also going to talk about unused classes and methods. Why is this important? We all know we keep adding more and more code into our org, especially if you've been implementing Salesforce for the last 10 years. Developers come and go. Somebody's written some code which nobody knows what it is doing. Unused classes and methods is a way for you to reduce your technical debt. It will give you the class names, the entry points, and the character code lines that it contributes so that you can then monitor the limit for character limit and clean up the code which is unused to bring that limit number down. So let's see what Apex Guru looks like in action. I'm going back to my org. Apex Guru comes under Scales Insights. The way Apex Guru runs is a little bit different than Scale Center. We already have reports created for you on a weekly basis. Let's take the latest report for this org. Very quickly, we'll tell you the code recommendations and categorize it into critical, major, minor. Critical ones, we'll tell you a few things here. We'll tell you what the current code is, what is the anti pattern that was detected, what is the class where it was detected, and then what is the recommended code that you need to fix with. Again, everything in one single place for the developer to take action immediately. You'll also see similar patterns on major and minor tabs. The next feature is SOQL DML analysis. Here we are detecting anti patterns within SOQL, whether it's in a SOQL in a loop or any other anti patterns related to performance leaks will be identified and shown here in this view. Expensive methods is just a run list of methods. And then unused classes and code. This is where I was talking about the character code limits that you can look at and reduce it. Finally, you can just generate a PDF of this and pass it on to your dev team to start looking at the recommendations and making the necessary fix. So this is everything in Apex Guru today. We launched late January, so it's been a few months now. We are looking to add more and more anti patterns and detect more and more hotspots down the road. Let's go back. Here is a case study where we actually saw impact in the customer code before and after deployment. If you see here, the database time was running up here in the high eights. They deployed the Apex Guru code recommendations and then it dropped down. Some more testimonials for Apex Guru. Again, these two are saving time, helping customers prioritize the right things, reducing escalations. Anytime there is a throttle or there is a mission critical application, admins, customers are using these two products hand in hand to drive massive improvements. Make it more efficient, increase the code quality, and the overall health of your application. These are just some product metrics. We've had almost 8,000 customers that are using Scale Center, Apex Guru, around 3,000 investigations generated, how much time is being saved, and Scale Test was just launched. So, this is the pilot customers that have used the product before the launch. So, what would the scale journey look like finally to wrap it up all from where we started? Now, customers can be more confident, more proactive, and build scalable applications early on. So, you start using Scale Test, Center pre production, as well as you can continue to use these post production. Let's talk about the roadmap and then we will open up for Q&A. So for the three products, initially we started Scale Test only for Hypeforce US customers. We are now available globally except Singapore. We are coming up with more features in summer. We are introducing a trial accuracy checker where customers will be able to estimate how accurate the workload is compared to the production run. We are also looking at building an RPS calculator that will help customers understand what is the request per second that they are generating. And then finally, we are looking at tighter integration with Scale Center. There have also been some requests around building load generation capabilities itself. So that is something that we are going to look to pilot. For Scale Center, there were tons of requests on non-sys admin access. So that has opened up. In summer, we are coming with search and report insights, and we are also doing a pilot for ISVs. We will have additional metrics and limits coming up in summer as well. And later, we are building some AI based features in terms of assisting customers with the summarization and detection of any errors that they ran into. Apex Guru, as I said, we are going to bring more anti patterns for you to help optimize your code. We are going to provide more impact metrics in terms of what would be the impact should you implement a recommendation, what's the savings going to be at your CPU time. And then today we have PDF already, but we are looking at CSV downloads because that has been one of the feature asks as well. Something that's not here is we are looking to also integrate with Code Analyzer to bring these into the dev phase itself. So more on that to come. Finally, if you're not already on our community, we have a Salesforce Scalability community. The link is here. Please join if you have any ongoing questions, would like to chat more, would like to give feedback to our products. All my PMs are active on that community, and that's the best way to reach us. And I do have some blogs, some trailheads that we will circulate after this session. There is also a direct outreach email that you can reach us at. It's pretty simple. It's Scale Center at Salesforce. With that, let's open up the floor for Q&A.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that really interesting presentation, Karishma. I think everyone attending probably now feels more informed about the role that scalability products play in ensuring a robust and efficient implementation. So without further ado, it's now time for our Q&A. So if you have any questions for Karishma, please feel free to submit them in the comments and we'll try to get around to as many as possible. Okay, so let's see. Can you explain how scalability products like Scale Center and Apex Guru differ from traditional monitoring tools?
So, a couple of things that we are bringing in for the first time. The database and app integration is very tight. We are able to go deeper and deeper into a stack and give you exactly what socket is causing it, what report is causing it, as well as we're tying the thread together for you so that you don't have to look at multiple things and figure out. We're trying to bridge the gap between what was the problem to how can you quickly fix it. So that's the lens that we are using in terms of how you diagnose, detect problems using Skill Center and Apex Guru. Our goal is not to monitor everything. There are solutions available that do that, where you can get detailed logs and metrics for every click or action in your application for security, audit, compliance use cases. But for us, we only care about the top 10 or the hottest or the longest running that you need to focus on to improve the health of your implementation.
Okay, fab. Thank you. So how do scalability products help identify and resolve bottlenecks before they impact performance?
So the first step today that you have to do is conduct a test. And as soon as you conduct the test, you will start getting these metrics in your org for you to start fixing or identifying hotspots. There have been requests from our customers, especially when it comes to production, to be further preventive in terms of alerts, thresholds, warnings. We are looking at some of those capabilities as part of our roadmap.
Okay, nice. Just seen this comment about access to the recording. So this entire webinar will be available on the Salesforce Ben LinkedIn and YouTube channel. So check that out. And Karishma, I'm sure you can share the presentation after the event as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so is throttling monitoring available in Scale Center?
Not today. We are working with our proactive monitoring team. That's another service to look at bringing any kind of alert information right within Scale Center. So that's on the roadmap as well.
Okay, cool. So are there specific industries or types of businesses that benefit most from using scalability products?
Every industry. For scale test, for example, we've received pilots, customers from every geo, every industry, because everybody is building large, complex implementations. And even if it's not a enterprise customer, let's say it's a small to medium sized customer, but they have a very complex use case, they are finding value in it as well. Like Apex Guru is just pure Apex developer product and is applicable to any type of customer that is writing a single line of Apex code.
Mhm. Okay, fab. So what are some common signs that a system needs scalability products to handle increased load?
I would say anywhere where you're seeing massive users, massive data, complex transactions, need for test, or any events that are coming up. Let's say there are two business units being combined, major production releases like a new product. Let's say you're trying FSC for the very first time. Let's say you're moving to Hyperforce. Like those are all the indicators where you're doing anything transformational is when you would need to validate the scalability of your implementation. You can avail of these products.
Mhm. Okay, cool. So how do Scale Center and Apex Guru integrate with existing IT infrastructure and other monitoring tools?
We don't have an API today. Today, it's intended to be a web interface, and this is because we want our low code users to also access it. We are giving ability to export it, but there is no API available to integrate with anything that you have existing. Salesforce does offer event monitoring, which has the API feature and tons of more additional metrics, and that is the one that we've seen customers integrate if you want to integrate it into your backend systems.
Mhm. Okay, so how do scalability products like Apex Guru use predictive analytics to optimize performance?
We do not use any predictive analytics right now. Right now, we are using the runtime information. So the code has executed in the org, and we are seeing how hard it is running. We are looking into predictive analysis um, based on our AI models that we are building in the future as well. And that forecasting is applicable not just for Apex Guru, for any kind of performance or scale issues.
Okay, cool. So what are the initial steps a business should take to incorporate scalability products into their implementation plan?
I think the first two themes that need to look at one is obviously your IT ops. So anywhere whoever is handling production monitoring, looking at production orgs, maintaining big massive orgs, they can readily start using Scale Center and Apex Hero to see what's already out there and start fixing some of the recommendations that these products are providing. If you're a greenfield implementation and if you're just starting, you can start as early as your test phase. So anytime, let's say you're moving your code up from a developer sandbox to a full copy sandbox, that is the first entry point for you to start using these products to be able to test and observe what happened in the test.
Okay, nice. So how do these products handle sudden spikes in demand, and what kind of automated scaling capabilities do they offer?
Yeah, so the automating scaling capabilities is part of the infrastructure today. If you're on Hyperforce, there's something on the app and the database that is happening in production already. So we obviously do that for the places where the implementation is running into hotspots. Let's say you're running into some limits, some governor limits. You will be able to detect those in pre-production in a full copy sandbox itself. All the metrics, all the data that you saw is as recent as 10 minutes ago. So that's how quickly you can take action on anything that spiked. Let's say you got throttled, you saw a spike in your test loading tool. Come to these products and start seeing what is happening at that moment and how can you diagnose it further.
Okay, great. So what kind of ongoing maintenance and support is required to keep these scalability products functioning effectively?
Nothing needed. Everything is built in for you. Everything that you saw, the UI is what you look at. What you can do is run investigations. We refresh the Apex Guru reports every week, so you can go back 30 days. If you are interested in looking at information older than 30 days, then you need to maintain some of these reports historically. We only retain up to 30 days today. So that is the only part where I would urge you to download and keep the reports if you should you have the need to go back. But apart from that, all of these will be real time refreshed, and you'll have information for last 30 days every single time you come into these products.
Okay, fab. So, are there any potential challenges or drawbacks to using scalability products that businesses should be aware of?
No challenges. We don't add contribute towards any limits or storage or any performance. Everything that you saw is running off core, so there is no performance implication. Um, we do need system admin perms to run these products, but we also give access to 5 additional users with non-sys admin perms. So if you have a bigger team, you may be able to just choose 5 people for now who can look at it. In terms of reports and investigation feature that I showed, you can run up to 15 a week. So if you are a customer who wants to run more reports on a weekly basis, that is something. The 15 is a limit today, but we are looking to expand that as well.
Okay. So, what is the typical ROI for companies that invest in scalability products, and how is it measured?
Yeah, so we have impact measured at the database time and the app time savings. So internally, let's say for Apex Guru, if you implement a piece of code, we are able to see the before and after snapshot of the code where we see that you did take our recommendation, and we are able to validate through that entry point for that same line of entry point where you made the change, what was the app time before you made the change and what is the app time after. We have seen up to 80% of improvements in the app CPU time alone for Apex Guru, for example. So we are able to measure that fairly easy.
Okay, cool. So, how does Scale Center and Apex Guru help in maintaining compliance with industry standards and regulations?
We don't have compliance use cases in this product. It's all focused around performance and scale. If your question is around, whether these are compliant, we these are all standard. We have the legal documents to go with these products. You can just scan it. For Gen AI, we do use AI features. So if any customer is AI averse or AWS averse, those are some of the things that you need to watch out for, because we do use aspects of both in these products. But apart from that, we are fully just like all other products.
Cool. So, can scalability products assist with disaster recovery and business continuity planning? If so, how?
No, not today.
Okay, cool. And then, how can businesses ensure that they're maximizing the benefits of scalability products post implementation?
I would say start early, in terms of getting into the rhythm of using them on a day to day basis. Start integrating these into a critical part of the tooling that your team uses today, whether it's QA teams, whether it's IT ops, post production teams. We see customers from, based on what our telemetry says, we are seeing customers use Scale Center and Apex Guru 50-50, both equally in sandbox as well as production orgs. So they are seeing value for both use cases that I talked about. So I would say just make it into the rhythm of whatever tool sets or tooling you have today, whether it's QA or prod ops, these should be part of that.
Okay, nice. Well, we are coming up to the hour, so that's unfortunately all we've got time for today. But thank you so much to everyone for attending. We hope you now feel equipped with valuable insights to kind of effectively incorporate scalability products into your implementations. So feel free to connect with Karishma on LinkedIn if you have any further questions. I'd like to give a massive thank you to Karishma for sharing her expertise and insights with us today. Before we round up, any final words?
Yeah, the community, the Trailblazer community is the best way to reach us. We are monitoring that. There are trails already, and there are some few blogs that we've written. We will have a follow-up blog on this as well, where we'll give a more detailed analysis of how to use these products. But yes, if there are any immediate questions, if you're already using it, have some feedback, please feel free to reach out, and we will take the feedback.
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you again to everyone for attending, and we hope to see you again for our next webinar soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.